أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه ومن استنى بسنته إلى يوم الدين.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وأذن في الناس بالحج يأتوك رجالا وعلى كل ضامر يأتين من كل فج عميق.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Hajj, meaning of which is, and proclaim to the people the Hajj. They will come to you on foot and on every lean camel. They will come from every distant pass. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back, brothers and sisters. This is session number 2 of our discussion on the Hajj. I hope the brothers and sisters who are, inshallah, planning for Hajj this year have joined. I'm not sure the names, but I hope you're there, inshallah. Type. So, we talked about how to prepare for Hajj yesterday. A quick recap. We said a person should purify himself, the Haji, and this is basically external, which means his bodily purity, his ghusl, cutting of the nails, and so on and so forth, and also ensuring he has a wealth from halal before he embarks on the Hajj. And then also internal purity, we discussed this. We said the most important being Tawheed, and also to have the right knowledge on how to perform the Hajj. And this is what we are attempting to do today, inshallah. So this is important for the Haji before he actually leaves on his Hajj. And we said there are 2 conditions for acceptance of any act of worship, including Hajj, which is ikhlas and mutabi'ah. So doing it sincerely only for the sake of Allah, seeking the pleasure of Allah and His face, subhanahu wa ta'ala, and following the way of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. As we said, Rasulullah said in the hadith, Hudu anni manasikukum. So take your rituals of Hajj from me. Yeah, so we need to follow his way in doing the Hajj. Barakallahu fikum. And we talked about the definition of Hajj. We said there is a linguistic definition and there is a istilah meaning. The istilah meaning is going to Makkah to perform specific acts at specific times for the sake of worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is the purpose, not to show off, not to be called Al-Hajj, so and so on, Falan Falan Al-Haji. It is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We looked at the ruling of Hajj. We said it is fard and wajib if one has the istitaat, if one is capable. Yeah, that's the rider to it. So if one has the capability, it becomes obligatory, right? And in terms of virtues, we talked about a few, and the most important of them, obviously, is the hadith of Abu Huraira, radiallahu an, wherein he said that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "He who makes Hajj and avoids obscene language and immoral behavior will return without his sins like the day his mother gave birth to him." Rawah Bukhari or Muslim. Barakallahu fikum. We stopped at the conditions. We looked at the conditions, the shurut, before going for Hajj. So we said these have to be complied with before a Haji can actually leave for Hajj. And these happen before the act of worship. And we said Islam, we talked about puberty. The person should be sane, having the right aql, physical and financial capability. We talked about this. We also discussed the mahram, the mahram companion for women, that ladies or sisters should not travel or make any journey for that matter, not only Hajj, any journey without a male mahram. Barakallahu fikum. So this is where we stopped. There were a few questions which I couldn't answer yesterday for the lack of time, and some which I wanted to clarify the answers to. But I don't see the questioners here as yet. So we'll just wait for that and we'll do that maybe towards the end, inshallah. And if we can't complete this today, I will try my best, inshallah. But like we said, we want to impart the right knowledge. We don't just want to hurry through it and finish it off, right? So we want to impart the right knowledge. So if I can't do it today, we'll have maybe a special session, maybe just Q&A on Yom Al-Ithnain, Monday, 7:15 p.m. Saudi time. But let's look at that a bit later once we get into it. Okay, I see some questioners here who asked these questions yesterday. Okay, so let's get into that. Let's clarify the questions before we continue. Okay, where's that? Can you see my screen, inshallah? The questions? Hello. Can someone confirm if they can see my screen with the questions?
Yes, yes, yes.
Barakallah feek. Right. So, okay, the ones underlined is what we're going to answer now. The ones which are not underlined, it's going to be answered automatically in today's session, inshallah. Right. The first one was from the sister. Can we keep fasts of Dhul Hijjah with intention to complete leftover fasts of Ramadan? So we discussed this in the session of Dhul Hijjah yesterday, right? And I said no, that the Ramadan fasts are different. It's obligatory, and the voluntary fasts are the ones which are doing for Dhul Hijjah. And the sister posted a link from Islam QA, which I went back and referred to. So there is a difference of opinion. Some scholars like Sheikh Ibn Taymiyyah, rahimullah, he said it is okay. It's allowed to combine these two because there is no connection. There is no connection between Dhul Hijjah fasts and Ramadan fasts. So you can do one day of Dhul Hijjah with the intention of both. So you want to complete the missed fast of Ramadan, and you want to also, inshallah, get the reward of Dhul Hijjah. And Ibn Uthaymeen, rahimullah, he says this is permissible. Um, but fasting like Shawwal, the 6 days of Shawwal, and Ramadan, you can't combine because there's a connection between the two. Because of the hadith, why are we fasting 6 days of Shawwal? Because of this hadith that whoever completes fasting Ramadan, thumma then does 6 days. So there is a connection between the two. One is dependent on the other. So you can't do, you can't combine the two Niyyah on one day of Shawwal and get both the ajr. No, you have to finish your Ramadan fast first and then do the fasting of Dhul Hijjah. So I hope that's clear, inshallah. But there is a difference of opinion, like we said. So some scholars say, no, you cannot combine. You have to finish up the missed fasting of Ramadan. And these are the links which talk about that. I'm just posting them on the chat box. So the sister who asked me this yesterday can also refer back. So there is a difference of opinion. So you can, inshallah, choose whichever you wish, inshallah, whichever is fine with you. But Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen has the opinion that you can combine Dhul Hijjah with Ramadan, but not, for example, Shawwal with Ramadan, because they are dependent. Wallahu alam. Barakallahu feek. There was also a question about Udhaya. I don't think this person is here as yet. I'm not sure. So anyway, okay, I'll park these two questions here because I don't think the questioner has joined us yet. Let's go to the last question at the bottom of the screen. Ustad, if one's parents are not much interested to follow the first 4 pillars, in this case, son should encourage them to follow that first and then take them to Hajj and Umrah. So we talked about this yesterday when we said that one of the critical conditions of Hajj is Tawheed. Yeah, and if someone's parents are not complying with the first 4 pillars, which means Shahadatain, Salah, Saum, and Zakat, mushkila. This is a great problem because Rasulullah said, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, between us and them is Salah. And we have a very serious, us and them is us as the Muslims, them is the kuffar. And we have a very serious fatwa from Sheikh bin Baz, rahimullah, that the one who leaves even one salah has left Islam. So this is a very dangerous issue. And we ask Allah to guide all the Muslims. So if somebody's parents are not praying, for example, this is a major issue. There is no point of them doing any Hajj or Umrah, right? Because Salah comes before Hajj and Umrah. And so, if, for example, if they go to Hajj, will they pray or no? What's the point going to Hajj and not praying there, right? Because you're going to pray 5 days, 6 days, whatever. So this doesn't make any sense. So the son should advise the parents, make dua for them before he even contemplates Hajj and Umrah. Wallahu alam. Right. We want to now go back to, inshallah, the presentation, and we'll get back to the other questions once that questioner joins. So we talked about the conditions. We discussed this. And we said the most important condition is, of course, Tawheed, the uniqueness of Allah in His names, attributes, and worship. Rububiyyah, Uluhiyyah, Asma wa Sifat. So the pillars. So next point of the agenda is the pillars of Hajj. So we said the conditions happen before the act of worship. The pillars and obligations, they happen as part of the act of worship. So they're included in the act of worship. They're integral to the act of worship. Barakallahu fikum. So what are the pillars? Before we talk about that, I want you to have an idea of some of the names and terms we're going to use, right? Most of you, inshallah, I'm sure know of this, but maybe one or two don't know. So we just want to highlight that, and especially if they're going for Hajj. And also on this map specifically, because you need to know where each point is. So that's Mina, right? It's a sea of tents, white tents where you will go and stay. We'll talk more about that, inshallah. And then you have Arafah. Arafah is the plains, and there's Jabal Rahmah, the mountain of mercy. There is a Masjid Namira. Yeah. So this is again where Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam went. So again, that's a kind of southeasterly from Mina, and quite a distance. I mean, I've seen some Hujjaj walking as well, but alhamdulillah, you probably need some transport. Then there's Muz'dalifah. Muz'dalifah is again an area where you spend the night. We'll talk more about that, inshallah. And then you will have the Jamarat, those three pillars there, where you will go and stone. So you need to know these terms as we go talking about the pillars and everything, right? And finally, of course, is the Kaaba or the Haram. Yeah. So you have Mina, you have Arafah, you have Muz'dalifah, you have the Jamarat, stoning of the Jamarat, the three pillars, and then finally, of course, the Kaaba. Wada, barakallahu fikum. I hope this is clear. Please keep this in your mind for those who don't know the terms as of now, because we're going to talk about that as we continue, inshallah. Barakallahu fikum. Right. So the pillars of Hajj, these are very, very, very important. Very important. Because these are what we call ARKAAN, integral. Like the pillars of Islam, the pillars of Iman. If you drop one pillar, what happens? We talked about Salah. If somebody misses Salah, the opinion, inshallah, is that he's left Islam. Mushkila, big mushkila. So these are integral to this act of worship, which is Hajj, which we're talking about. So what are the pillars? Simple and easy. Only 4, but very, very, very important pillars. Number 1, Ihram. Okay, what I've done, brothers and sisters, is I'm now giving you kind of an introduction. Just to go back, sorry. Like this, pillars, types. I'm just going to talk about a high-level introduction, and then we'll dive deep into and go into details of each of these areas in the method. So I'm going to kind of repeat myself, but that's intentional because I want you to understand and absorb what I'm saying, because this is important, especially the brothers and sisters going for Hajj. All right. So we're going to repeat this anyway in the method, but for now, keep this in mind. Ihram is the condition of entering Hajj. Okay, this was pillar number 1. Pillar number 2, standing in Arafah. Pillar number 2, standing in Arafah. Pillar number 3, Tawaf al-Ifada, also called Tawaf al-Hajj, Tawaf Ziyara, similar names. Is a pillar, Tawaf, circumambulation of the house, Baitullah. And finally, the Sa'i of Hajj. The Sa'i of Hajj. 4 pillars only, but very important. What is the significance? If you miss a pillar, your Hajj is batil, it's of no use, it is rejected. You have to repeat your Hajj the following year or whenever is possible, which means you have not done your Hajj. You see the seriousness of the issue? So if you miss a pillar, you have not done your Hajj. So very important pillars. Ihram, standing in Arafah. You know what is Arafah, right? The plains of Arafah. So let me ask you a question. So let's say a person, and Rasulullah says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, hadith, Al-Hajju Arafah. Hajj is Arafah. Al-Hajju Arafah. Al-Hajj is Arafah. So if you catch Arafah, inshallah, you've got your Hajj. But before Arafah, you have Mina on 8th of Hijjah. We'll talk about that. But there is no Mina in the pillars, as you can see. So if someone skips Mina, for example, let's say I want to go for Hajj, but something's got delayed, my plane got delayed, whatever issues happened with the permission, the visa, whatever, yeah, and finally my flight left on the morning of 9th of Hijjah, Arafah, Yom Al-Arafa. Okay, I came, I got down, I went through security, immigration, whatever, customs, yeah, and by the time I reached Arafah, Okay, it's 6, let's say, let's six after Maghrib. I came after Maghrib, 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, and I stood in Arafah. Okay, so I came on 9th Hijjah. I hope you're following me. Arafah, the day of Arafah. My flight was late. I eventually managed to reach Makkah and entered Arafah at 7 p.m. in the evening after Maghrib. Have I got my Hajj? Who can answer? Have I got my Hajj? I came after Maghrib. I landed and entered Arafah and stood there at, let's say, 8 p.m., 9 p.m. Taib, okay. Jazakumullah khairan. Ihram. No, I am in Ihram. I am in Ihram. Don't worry. I've got my Ihram. I have entered. I've got into Arafah at 8 p.m. in the night on 9th Zulhijjah. Taib. The correct answer, inshallah, is yes. Though we know we need to leave Arafah by Maghrib without praying Maghrib. But when we say standing in Arafah, the ARKAAN, the Rukun, it continues into almost the Fajr of the 10th day of the Hijjah. Wade? So yes, I have got my Arafah. Another example, I came at 6 a.m. in the morning. I came at 6 a.m. in the morning into Arafah. So I went to Mina, I finished Mina. I came to Arafah at 6 a.m. in the morning. I left at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. I left. I went to Muz'dalifah. Have I got my Hajj? Have I fulfilled the ARKAAN, the Rukun? You get the point? I came at 6 o'clock in the morning. I left at 10 in the morning. 10 in the morning. Barakallah feekum. Jazakumullah khairan. MashaAllah. Ahsan. So, yes, I did not get my ARKAAN, this Rukun. Why? Because the Sunnah of Rasulullah is to enter, he entered after Dhuhr and he stayed until Maghrib. So, if you come in the morning, you need to stay beyond Dhuhr. You can't leave before Dhuhr. If you leave before Dhuhr, you have not got your Rukun. You see, brothers and sisters, how important knowledge is, especially in an act of worship like Hajj, to have the right knowledge, equip yourself before you embark on Hajj. Clear, Wade? So standing in Arafah is a Rukun. And the time is from Dhuhr till Maghrib. If you come before, you need to wait beyond Dhuhr. Even if you come after Maghrib, it's okay, inshallah, like we talked about the example. Wade? Barakallah feekum. Taib. So these are the 4 pillars. We'll talk more about them when we talk about the manner of doing Hajj. What are the wajibat? What are the obligations? So we said, if you miss a pillar, what happens? You have missed your Hajj. If you miss a pillar, again, you have missed your Hajj. What are the wajibat? What are the obligations? Ihram from miqat. Yeah, Ustaz, you told me just to ihram is pillar. How can it be also wajib in both? Pillar is what? Pillar is ihram. Wajib is what? Ihram from miqat. There is a difference. What is the difference? Ihram is actually a condition, a niyyah, which you make, because many brothers and sisters have a misconception that when we say ihram or entering ihram, we mean the 2 pieces of cloth which we wear. The white, doesn't have to be white, but mostly people wear white. The white rida and the white izar. They think this is ihram. No, this is wrong. These are the clothes or outfit of ihram. This is not the ihram. Ihram is your niyyah which you make in your heart for Umrah or for Hajj. This is ihram. So that is what we discussed in the pillars. You have to have a firm niyyah. And making this niyyah from miqat, that's a wajib. What do I mean? For example, you're flying from, let's say, Riyadh to Jeddah, because Makkah there is no airport, you have to land in Jeddah. And the plane is flying over the miqat. Wada? And you decide, okay, inshallah, the pilot or the air hostesses or whoever, will announce. And when they announce, I will make my intention in my heart. Alhamdulillah. Good, great. So the plane is flying, approaching the miqat. And you have this nice meal, nice aircraft meal or whatever. yeah, and you fall asleep. You fall asleep. The pilot announces, we are now flying over Miqat. Please make your intention. Get into your ihram. You're asleep. You're sleeping. And you land in Jeddah. You suddenly wake up when it hits the ground. When the tires hit the ground. You're jolted and you wake up. What has happened now? Huh? What has happened? You have missed your wajib. You did not make. Please repeat again. Brother Muhammad Khatib, what do you want me to repeat, please? If you can use your mic. Brother Muhammad Khatib, you there?
Yes, we wanted to know if what time, if we come to Makkah and then leave before Dhuhr, or if we come around Dhuhr.
Into Arafah?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so like we said, the standing of Arafah, you have to do it at least from Dhuhr till Maghrib. But if you come before Dhuhr, you need to stay beyond Dhuhr. Okay? And ideally leave just before Maghrib. Clear? You've got your Arafah now. No problem.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But we'll come to this again when you talk about the method of doing Hajj. It will be clear, inshallah. So now, this person who slept in the plane has missed his ihram. Sorry, he's missed his wajib. He's got his pillar because his niyyah is there when he left Riyadh. But making the niyyah again, the specific intention over miqat, he missed because he fell asleep. What does he do? We will see, inshallah. But you got the idea, you got the example between the two, right? The second wajibat from the wajibat is standing in Arafah till sunset. You see now? You see again the difference between the pillar, you have the pillar Arafah, standing in Arafah. So even if you came in the night, you stayed till the morning of the following day, you got your Arafah, no problem, inshallah. But the wajib you missed. So the person who came at 8 p.m. in the night, because his flight was delayed, but he stood in Arafah till the next morning. He got his Arafah, he got the pillar, he achieved the pillar, but he has missed the wajib. He has missed the wajib. The one who came at 6 a.m. in the morning into Arafah and left at 10 a.m. in the morning from Arafah, he missed both his pillar and his wajib. Wada? Clear? So these items are coming in both pillars and in ARKAAN, wajibat, but there is a slight difference. I hope the difference is clear, inshallah. If not, let me know in the Q&A. Number 3, staying in Muz'dalifah. Sorry, that should be Muz'dalifah, the wrong spelling. Staying in Muz'dalifah. We'll talk about that as well. Number 4, staying the nights in Mina. These are specifically referring to the nights of Ayyam al-Tashriq, the 11th, 12th, and 13th of Hijjah. These nights you have to spend in Mina. The full night, Ustaz? No. From the Sunnah and the Sharia, what is required is at least half the night. At least half the night has to be spent in Mina, because you may want to go and visit someone, let's say in Makkah, and come back. It's permissible, no problem. Ayyam al-Tashriq, 11th, 12th, and 13th of Hijjah. But at least stay half the night. This is important. It's a wajibat. Stoning of the Jamarat. The 3 pillars. Stoning of this is from the wajibat. Shaving or cutting the hair, also from the wajibat. Shaving is more afdal, except if you're doing tamattu, as you will see, or cutting the hair. Both are permissible, but the more virtuous is shaving, unless you're doing tamattu. We'll talk about that. Tawaf al-wada, the last farewell tawaf, is also a wajib, except for the sisters who get into their cycles at that point in time. So sister has finished her Tawaf al-Ifada, the first Tawaf, she finished everything else, Mina, Muz'dalifah, Arafah. But before the farewell Tawaf, the number 7, she got her Hajj. She went into her condition of Hajj, she had her periods. She is exempted. But everyone else, this is obligatory. Wada? Clear? These are the 7 wajibat. Keep this in your mind, please. I will share the slide deck as well, inshallah, for the brothers and sisters on the group. But for now, keep this in mind. So 4 pillars and 7 wajibat. And I hope you got the difference between ihram as a pillar and ihram from miqat as a wajibat, and standing in Arafah as a pillar, and standing in Arafah until sunset as a wajibat. Wada? If you missed your pillar, what happened? you missed your Hajj. If you missed a pillar, you missed your Hajj. But you missed the wajibat, what happened? If you miss one of these 7, did you miss your Hajj? No, Alhamdulillah. But you need to give what they call a dam or hadi. So if someone misses, he or she, a wajib, he must sacrifice a sheep or 1/7 of a camel or 1/7 of a cow or a goat as well. From the Anam category, the animals of the Anam category. This is called a hadi. So this person who slept in the plane and flew right over Mikat, he couldn't get up. He missed what? The wajib. Wada, clear? Clear, brothers and sisters? If not, just post something on the chat box. Barakallah fikum. So he missed the wajib. What does he do? Does he have to go back to Mikat? No. Does he have to repeat his Hajj? No. All he has to do is give a sacrifice. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Which we call the hadi. But does he eat from it? Invite his friends, families to have a nice feast? Come on, let's eat. I missed a wajib. Alhamdulillah. No. He has to give the sacrifice in Makkah. He has to do it in Makkah. This is a condition. And the meat has to be distributed to the poor in Makkah. Barakallahu fikum. Father, he can't go back to Riyadh, Dammam, Kuwait, Qatar, wherever and give the hadi. In fact, it's not called a hadi then, right? Hadi is only called when you do it in Makkah. So he gives it in Makkah within the haram boundary. Makkah, when I say Makkah, I don't mean the masjid. I mean the haram boundary, yeah? Because Rasulullah has told us where are the starting and ending points of the haram boundary around Makkah. So he needs to do this. Clear? And distribute the sacrificial meat within the poor in Makkah itself. He cannot eat from it. He cannot eat from it. This is what happens when you miss a wajib. Wada, clear? Clear? Barakallahu fikum? Likewise, any wajib, spending the night in Muz'dalifah, not sleeping in Mina for half the night, at least, yeah. What else? Not stoning the Jamarat, for example, all this he has to do sacrifice. Wada, clear? But for the sisters, like we said, Tawaf al-Wada, the last farewell Tawaf, if she has her hair, she is exempted. But otherwise, no. Everyone has to do that. If you miss it, this is a problem. You have to give a wajib. And this should be the last Tawaf, as we will see, inshallah. You can't do any action after that. However, sorry. Okay, there's a small point I forgot to mention here in the slide. Even if the person is ignorant, he still has to do the wajib. So let's say somebody did not attend my dars today, for example, yeah, okay, and he didn't know, he didn't have the knowledge, he or she, they went for Hajj and they missed a wajib. So they were ignorant. Usually in Islam, when a person is ignorant, he is not held liable. But in this case, even if you're ignorant, you still have to do the dam or the hadi and the sacrifice. Barakallahu fikum. Type. So what are the types of Hajj? So we talked about all the other previous points, alhamdulillah. Now we want to get into the types of Hajj before we get into how to do or how to perform Hajj. There are 3 types of Hajj. Clear? You have what is called Tamattu. You have what is called Qiran. You have also what is called Ifrad. Clear? 3 types. Tamattu, Qiran, Ifrad. Now a Haji can choose any one which he wishes. There are certain differences between these. Tamattu is largely different from the other 2. Qiran and Ifrad are very close to each other with some minor differences. So Haji is allowed to choose anyone. The Sahaba radiallahu anhum, they performed all these 3 types of Hajj. Different people perform different types of Hajj. So you can do any one of these. Clear? Wada? Number 1, Tamattu. This is the best of all the 3. The most virtuous and the most rewarding. Based on the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. What does this contain? What is in at a high level? The Haji will perform Umrah Umrah, normally, as how you would do Umrah, in the months of Hajj. See, we talked about months of Hajj yesterday, and someone had a question, right? So we said the months of Hajj are Shawwal, Dhul Qa'dah, Dhul Hijjah. So Hajj, you can come traveling from, like, for example, from India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, wherever US, yeah, on a package tour, yeah, let's say 40 days, 50 days tour. He may come in Dhul Qa'dah. So can he do Tamattu? Yes, these are the months of Hajj. He can do. So he can do Umrah in, let's say, first of Dhul Qa'dah. He does Umrah. He is doing Hajj Tamattu. He does Umrah on the first of Dhul Qa'dah. He exits Umrah. And then he wears his normal clothes, goes around Makkah, goes to shopping, eating, has a nice time, worshipping Allah, whatever, praying salawat in the Masjid al-Haram. And on 8th Dhul Hijjah, almost a month later, he enters Ihram for Hajj. This is Tamattu. You see the advantage of the months of Hajj now? So it's alhamdulillah, this is a good blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Tamattu is what? Performing Umrah in the months of Hajj, and then you exit your Ihram. You get out of Ihram. And then again on 8th of Dhul Hijjah, you enter Ihram again and perform the rituals of Hajj. This is Tamattu. Most people I know, they like to perform this. This is the most rewarding, alhamdulillah. Right? So Umrah followed by Hajj. So both these are separated. Both are separated. And this requires you to sacrifice an animal as part of the Hajj rituals. Hadi. Called the Hadi. You do it in Makkah. Okay? Time for wearing ihram on 8th. We're coming to that. Brother Muhammad Khatib, we're going to discuss the method of doing Hajj, and we'll come to that inshallah. Please give me a moment, please. Just a minute. So this requires the sacrifice of an animal, the Hadi. Okay. How to do, what would we come into that? But just hold on. I'm just giving you the high level introduction to the different types of Hajj. So I know you have questions. It will come. Don't worry, inshallah. Number 2 is Qiran. What is Qiran? Qiran is what we mean by joining. It means to join or to merge something. Assimilate or join or to merge. So Qiran is what? Combined Hajj and Umrah. The intention is to perform Hajj and Umrah together, and performing one Tawaf and one Sa'i is sufficient. So in this, what is happening actually? Umrah is joined into Hajj. You will not do Umrah separately. You will do only the rituals of Hajj, but Umrah is part of this. We'll talk about this inshallah. Okay, and only one Tawaf, one Sa'i, that's it. So you will not do separate Tawaf for Umrah, separate Sa'i for Umrah. No, only one Hajj Tawaf and one Hajj Sa'i, that's it. This is Qiran. Again, this requires the sacrifice of an animal. It requires the sacrifice of an animal. So the pilgrim, the Hajji will reach Makkah, perform Tawaf al-Qudum. It's called Tawaf al-Qudum. Okay, the starting Tawaf or the beginning Tawaf and Sa'i. And this Sa'i can be the Sa'i of Hajj as well. Then he will not cut his hair or leave, because he's still in Umrah. He's still in Ihram. He will not cut his hair or anything until 8th Dhul Hijjah, and then he will start the rites of Hajj. So if a Haji is coming, like we said, on 1st Dhul Qa'dah into Makkah, it makes sense for him to perform Tamattu, because it's a long gap. It's a whole month he has to wait. If he's doing Qiran, he has to wait this whole month in Ihram. And this can be a bit dangerous in the sense that he may perform something which can be a restriction, something which is not allowed to do in Ihram, right? So 1 month is a long time. So it makes sense for him to do Tamattu. He can do Qiran, no problem. It's perfectly okay. It's perfectly permissible. But from a convenience perspective, it makes sense for that, right? And Qiran, you will sacrifice an animal as well. Hadi. Finally, Ifrad. Ifrad means like single, one. Only Hajj. Wada? So between Qiran and Ifrad, there's not much of a difference. The only difference is the intention and sacrifice. In Ifrad, there is no sacrifice. This is the only type of Hajj where you don't have to do a Hadi in Makkah. But this Hadi is different from the WAJIBAAT we talked about earlier. The WAJIBAAT Hadi which you give as a dam, you can't eat from it. But this Hadi, which for Tamattu and Qiran, you can eat from it. You can give it to your neighbors, friends. You give it to the poor and charity. Alhamdulillah. No problem. Father, but Ifrad, there is no sacrifice. Only Hajj rituals. Sacrifice hadi is only in Tamattu and Qiran. Wada? Clear? Question. Sual. Which type of Hajj did Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam perform? In the chat box, please. Which type of Hajj did Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam perform? Did he perform Qiran, Tamattu, or Ifrad? Qiran. Hey, Akhi, we said, yeah, Ikhwan, Akhawat, we said Tamattu is best. And you're telling me Qiran? This was the hadith we talked about in the Sunnah, yeah? We talked about the discussion in the workshop of Sunnah with Abdullah bin Mas'ud radiallahu anhu. When some Sahaba, they told him that Umar and Abu Bakr, they said Tamattu is, sorry, Qiran is better. Yeah? Anyway, so yes, Jazakumullah khairan, alhamdulillah, all of you are right. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam performed Qiran. Yes, yeah, Ustad, but you said Tamattu is best, so how come he didn't do Tamattu? Or how come it's better for us to do Tamattu when he, as following the Sunnah and following Rasulullah, he did Qiran. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in those days, yes, Jazakumullah khairan. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in those days, they would carry their sacrificial animals with them. So when they left from Medina to Mecca, they took their animals with them. They would be garlanded, they would be marked. So you know that this is for sacrifice. Camels. And Rasulullah took 100 camels with him on his Hajj. 100 camels. And he himself, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, remember he was 62 years old or 63 almost. He sacrificed 30 of the 100 himself. And when we say himself, it's just not cutting it like how we do, in our houses. We say Bismillah Allah Akbar and cut the neck, the artery, and then we call the butcher to do the rest. No, he did everything with his hands. 30 of the, and it's a camel, it's not a sheep, it's a camel. You require help, you require people to put it down, hold it down. 30 out of 100. And then Ali bin Abi Talib came in. And he was, if I remember right, in Yemen. He came back and he came into the Hajj with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rasulullah asked him, Ya Ali, which Hajj are you performing? So Ali said, whichever you're performing, Ya Rasulullah. So he said, yeah, I'm doing Qiran, come and sacrifice the rest. So Ali came and he sacrificed the balance 70. So anyway, the point is, they would take the camels with them. So Rasulullah had his camel with his camels with him. And in Qiran, you will take your animals with you usually. So he was doing Hajj Qiran. But today, of course, you can't take your camel in the flight. Yeah, you're going by, I don't know, Saudi, Emirates, Gulf Air, whatever you're flying. Yeah, you can't take a camel with you. So you will go there and usually arrange that, or you arrange it earlier on with your group responsible people and so on and so forth. Yeah. So he came in there, and then Rasulullah, it was revealed to him from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Tamattu is better, more virtuous. So he said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the hadith, if I knew what I knew now, if I knew this before, I would not have brought my camels with me. And he told the Sahaba, those of you who don't have your camels, sacrificial animals with you, change your Niyyah to Tamattu. Wada? So from this hadith, we know, the scholars say Tamattu is better, though Rasulullah himself performed Qiran. So if you can make it Tamattu, do Tamattu, no problem. But like we said, anything is perfectly okay. Your Hajj is acceptable, inshallah. Any of the three types which you do. Wada, clear? Type. And this does not require the sacrifice of an animal. It does not require the sacrifice of an animal. So Qiran and Tamattu are quite close to each other. Both require a hadi, yeah, and it can be again a cow, 1/7 of a cow, 1/7 of a camel as portions, or a sheep or a goat. Sacrifice is in Makkah, and the meat can be eaten from and given to the poor. If somebody is not able to sacrifice, he doesn't have the money, or some issue happened, some emergency, something happened, what is the alternative? In Qiran and Tamattu, what is the alternative? Because already he's made his Niyyah, he started the Hajj as Qiran and Tamattu. Now he cannot change. The Sahaba we talked about earlier, the example, they had not yet started the Hajj. But now let's say this brother has started the Hajj as Qiran and Tamattu, but some issue happened, he cannot make a sacrifice. What does he do? He has to fast 10 days. He has to fast 10 days. 3 days during Hajj and 7 days when he goes back to his city, town, or home country. Father, this is the kafara for this, because this is an obligation. So again, what are the animals of the anam category, which are permissible as hadi, or as also the dam for the wajib, Mr. Wajib. Yeah. So hadi is for the Hajj, Tamattu and Qiran types, as we talked about, and also given when you miss a Hajj wajib. Also, when an ihram restriction is made, we'll talk about this, inshallah. So when you get into your ihram condition and you wear those two clothes for the brothers, for example, or the sisters with the normal clothes, you can't do certain things. If you do that thing, you have to give a hadi. You have to give a dam. Also, udhiya. Udhiya is what? What is the difference? Udhiya is what you give, what the non-Haji gives, the one who is not going on Hajj. He gives it on what they call Eid al-Adha. Eid al-Adha, 10th of Dhul Hijjah. You sacrifice, right? That's called udhiya. It's called udhiya. Clear? So the animals can be a camel, but there are certain conditions. It should be at least 5 years, and look for the best type of camel. Cow, again, look for the best type of cow, at least 2 years old. Sheep should be at least 6 months old, and if it's a goat, at least 1 year old. And all of these animals and the type of animal should be free from any defects. Remember, you're sacrificing for the sake of Allah. Okay, so make sure you get a very good animal, good condition. The age condition should be met for the hadi or for the udhiya. Wada? Tayyib, Bismillah. So finally now we're into the method of doing Hajj. What is the method of doing Hajj? All right, what is the method? Just give me a moment again, sorry, before we continue this. I need to take an emergency call. Just a second, please. Sorry. Inshallah, this is the last interruption. Okay, fine. Inshallah, inshallah. Time. So now we're getting into the methods. Getting into the methods of Hajj. All right, in detail, we'll look at the various types of Hajj. Like we said again, Tamattu is a bit different, but Qiran and Ifrad are similar to each other. Qiran and Ifrad are similar to each other. So inshallah, your questions will be answered when we look at these following slides. So again, for those who joined late, this is kind of a map of the various areas you'll be visiting during Hajj, right? So we have Mina on the top there, the circle, the black circle. And then you have Arafah at the bottom, where you will go, inshallah, on 9th of Dhul Hijjah. You have Muz'dalifah, where you will spend the night of the 10th of Dhul Hijjah, right? And then you have the Jamarat, where you start stoning them from the 10th, and the 11th, and the 12th, and the 13th as well. And then, of course, finally, the Kaaba, the Haram, where you will go for your Tawaf and also for Sa'i and so on. So these are the areas you'll be visiting, inshallah, as a Haji during your Hajj. Wada? Clear? Barakallahu fikum. Taib. Bismillah. So, first and foremost is your Niyyah. You have to have the intention, right? Again, we're going to look at the details of all of these blocks, don't worry. And the intention is always in the heart, brothers and sisters. You will not utter anything on your tongue. Ya Ustad, we say, Labbaik Allahumma Hajjan. This is not the intention. The intention is in the heart. You're saying this as part of the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Talbiyah. That is not the intention. The intention is never uttered on the tongue. The word Niyyah itself has to do with the qalb, with the heart. Barakallahu fikum. Clear? So, the brothers who are going for Hajj, for example, some brothers yesterday told me in the yesterday's session, they said they're going for Hajj, alhamdulillah, may Allah make it easy for them and accept their Hajj as Hajj Mabrur, inshallah. So, these brothers and sisters, they already have their intention, alhamdulillah, right? The general intention is there. The specific intention of entering Ihram is done at the Miqat. We'll come to that, inshallah. We'll discuss what is Miqat. We'll talk about Ihram, the garments and the Niyyah of Ihram. We'll look at Umrah. Actually, at a high level, does anybody not know how to do Umrah? If you can just post it on the chat box. Is there somebody listening today who has not done Umrah, who doesn't know how to do Umrah? Because that will take some more time if I get into Umrah and the details of Umrah. So if you're not aware, let me know. We'll look at that. Okay, yes. What do you mean? Yes, sisters. Are you aware or not aware? I'm not sure. So you're aware. I think yes means aware. Alhamdulillah. Okay, not aware. Okay. We'll see what we can do, inshallah. Barakallah feekum. All right. So we have the Umrah, and then the actual Hajj rituals, so to speak, start on 8th of Hijjah. All the dates I'm mentioning here, brothers and sisters, are Arabic calendar dates. So as Muslims, we should try to use the Hijri calendar. And we're talking about Hijjah. So I will not say October, August, September, whatever. No. So this is 8th Hijjah. 9th, you will enter Arafah. The night of the 10th, you will be in Muz'dalifah. So after Maghrib on the 9th, after Arafah, you will depart to Muz'dalifah. So in Islam, the night comes before the day. In Islam, the night comes before the day. So tomorrow, for example, is 1st Hijjah. Tomorrow is 1st Hijjah. The night of the 1st of Hijjah will start today at Maghrib. Tomorrow is 1st Hijjah. The night of 1st of Hijjah will start before the day, and it will start at Maghrib today. Wada? Clear? Time. So the night of the 10th of Hijjah you will spend in Muz'dalifah. On the 10th itself, you have various actions to do, or various acts to do, like stoning the Jamarat, one of them, not all, sacrifice Tawaf. And also could be, shaving, cutting as well. I put it separately because you can do it on the next day as well. We will talk about that, inshallah. And finally, you have what we call the Ayyam al-Tashriq. These are the 11th, 12th, and the 13th of Hijjah. So the whole thing is your Hajj. We'll look at each of these now, inshallah, in detail. Don't worry. First of all, al-Niyyah. It is in the qalb. You do not say, Abu Basim is going for Hajj this 1442 of Hijrah with this group on this flight for the sake of Allah. No, you do not utter anything on the tongue. So the general niyyah is like what the brothers already have. Some brothers told me yesterday, or sisters, that they're going for Hajj this year. Alhamdulillah. May Allah make it easy. So these brothers and sisters, they have already made their general niyyah. It's there. It's already there. Alhamdulillah. Clear? The specific intention will be at the miqat. We're coming to that. The specific niyyah, you will do it at the miqat. So general niyyah is what? You start planning, you buy the outfit of a haram, whatever stuff you need, maybe medicines, apply for the permission, get the app, download the app, apply for the permissions, make sure you get vaccinated. All these you're doing because you have a general intention for Hajj. Wada? Again, this is in your heart. It's in the heart. That's why you're doing all these actions to complement that intention. The specific niyyah is at the miqat. So what you say, and what most of us know from practice and experience and other lectures you must have heard, if you're doing Ifrad, Hajj Ifrad, again there are three types: Ifrad, Qiran, Tamattu. If you're doing Ifrad at the miqat. So what is miqat? We'll come to that. At the miqat, you will say Labbaika Hajjan. Because we said Ifrad does not have Umrah in it. It is only Hajj and there is no sacrifice. This is the easiest. So if somebody is not, physically up to the mark, or fell sick a bit, or can't manage too much, this is the best option for him or her. Alhamdulillah. Only Hajj rituals. Labbaika Hajjan. Labbaik, oh Allah, I'm here. Oh Allah, I'm answering your call for Hajj. This is what you will utter. It is not the niyyah. This is not the niyyah. But it is a sunnah which we utter on our tongue at miqat. For Qiran, which is like joining or merging, is the meaning, we will say Labbaik Umratan wa Hajjan. Because Qiran is what? We said the Umrah is merged into the Hajj. The Umrah is assimilated into or joined into the Hajj. This is Qiran. And there is a sacrifice. There is a hadi you will do. And what you will utter? Labbaik Umratan wa Hajjan. Wada? Tamattu. Tamattu it means you're benefiting from something. What are you benefiting from? Because in Tamattu we said, remember, you will do Umrah and exit the Umrah. And then you will enter Ihram for Hajj, the Niyyah for Hajj on 8th Hijjah. So there is a gap. So in this gap, you're benefiting from exiting the ihram. So you go about your normal life, you wear normal clothes, you can approach your spouse, you can cut your nails, you can cut your hair. Alhamdulillah. You can also marry. You can also marry. Because out of ihram now. We'll talk about this in restrictions, don't worry. Yeah. Type. So tamattu means benefiting from something. And what will you say when you're doing tamattu at the miqat? You will say labbaik umratan, because you're just doing umrah now initially at the miqat. You will say labbaik hajjan in Mina on 8th of Hijjah, because now you will be in Mina or in Makkah, depending on where you are. Right? That's one option. The other option, at miqat itself, you will say the whole sunnah or the whole sentence, like labbaik umratan mutmatin biha il hajj. Labbaik umratan mutamattiyan biha ila al-hajj. So after umrah, oh Allah, I am going to answer you, I'm going to come to you for hajj. I will exit and enter for hajj. So you have option. If you can't memorize that second part, if it's too difficult, you can write it down. Or if it's too difficult, you just say labbaik umratan. And you say labbaik hajjan where? In Mina on 8th Hijjah or in Makkah on 8th Hijjah. Because tamattu is to umrah separately, you will exit and then again enter ihram for hajj. I hope this is clear. I've been repeating it 2-3 times. Alhamdulillah, inshallah. If you don't understand, please let me know. So this is what you will say at the miqat, bearing in mind that the niyyah is always in the heart. If someone is doing hajj badal, someone had a question yesterday on hajj badal, proxy hajj. So I am doing my hajj for someone else. There's certain masail and there's certain issues we want to discuss quickly. First of all, the sunnah is to do this proxy hajj for someone who is deceased, who couldn't do his own hajj, for example. For someone who is living, it's better that living person does his own hajj. Okay, this is the first point. Second point, even if there's someone who's living is a bit sick and there is hope for improvement, his sickness to go away, inshallah, it's better he delays it, maybe does it next year, instead of sending someone else to do his hajj. Because hajj is an act of worship. Wajib and obligatory on each and every person, male and female. We talked about this yesterday. The other condition, but in case a person, like we said yesterday, is not capable, he is very seriously sick, terminally sick, for example, but he has the money, now he can appoint someone to do his proxy hajj or his hajj badal. But otherwise, no. It's better for the person to do it himself, unless you're doing it for someone who's already dead, who's deceased. In that case, either of these two cases, the person doing the hajj, actually, the delegate or whoever it is who's doing the hajj, he should have already done his own hajj before. Otherwise, he cannot do a proxy hajj. Even if he does a proxy hajj, it will be counted as his own hajj. You get the point? He has to do his own hajj first, finish his own fard first, and then he can do proxy for someone else. Clear? Wada? So if someone is doing this, you will add something to your statement you say at miqat. You will say, for example, labbaik hajjan and fulan. So labbaik hajjan and Abu Basim, for example. So I'm doing hajj, oh Allah, I'm answering your call for hajj for fulan person, for this person. You will mention him by name. Wada? Clear. It's also possible, and this is also from the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that there could be a fear, a worry, that you may be prevented from proceeding after miqat. Let's say your permission is not valid, or something went wrong, or you already had a sickness and you think it may get worse. Yeah. So some situations, like specific instances where you could be prevented potentially from completing your hajj rituals. What will you say at the miqat? Okay, you don't have to say this, but this is an option to prevent the fidya, to prevent the kafara or the dam. So you can add a condition, and it's from the sunnah. You can say, Allahumma mahalli Haythu habathani. Oh Allah, I will stop where you stop me and become halal. And that should be and, not and become halal. So wherever you are prevented from proceeding further, that's the point. I will exit ihram. And if you say this, you don't have to give a dam. Otherwise, the dam is lazim on you, because you got into ihram and you need to finish the rituals. You can't exit ihram without finishing the rituals, because you're not finishing certain wajibat and so on and so forth. Whether, so by putting this condition, you kind of escape from that. But not every Haji has to do this. He should not. He should not. Only some specific cases where they are quite sure something may go wrong. Of course, everything is in the hands of Allah. Yeah. Right? Whether, okay. One point on the side for the sisters, for example, I just came to mind, and sisters asked this question: can they take certain kind of pills and tablets to delay their haid, because they're going for Hajj, they don't want to miss it? There is a difference of opinion between scholars. Some scholars say yes, some scholars say no, and the scholars who say no are like Sheikh bin Baz, rahimullah, Sheikh ibn Uthaymin, rahimullah. They say, this is something which Allah decrees for you. And this happened with Aisha radiallahu anha, as we know, Al-Mu'mineen. So also with Safiya, Al-Mu'mineen again, radiallahu anha. It happened with Safiya as well, and she missed Tawaf al-Wida, the last farewell Tawaf. And Rasulullah went back with her, no problem, because she got her haid. So, these pills cause various side effects. They're not very good, and stuff like that. It can cause other damages. So just avoid it. And secondly, personally, I'm not a big fan of any tablets, any for that matter. Secondly, this is something which Allah decrees for the daughters of Adam alayhi salam. So if it happens, it happens. You do what you can, and you do kafara, whatever, depending on what happens and when it happens. And alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. So I would, personally, I take this opinion, but there is also an opinion which says, no, you can, it's permissible to take pills. Wallahu a'lam. So that was what you say, and the niyyah. So what is miqat? We would use this word so many times now. What is miqat? Linguistically, the language meaning is something which repeats, something which comes always again and again. This is miqat. It can be with respect to time, it can be with respect to place. Something which repeats with respect to time, something which repeats with respect to place. Like Arafah. Arafah is a miqat with respect to place. It's where you go every 9th Zil Hijjah. Rest of the 362 or 63 days, it is empty. Allahu Akbar. It is empty. Nobody is there. Not a soul in sight. But one day, the whole year, it is packed. Packed to the brim. This is Islam. This is Tawheed. Time, like Yom Al-Jum'ah, keeps coming again and again and again, yeah? Eid, again on the same day. 1st of Shawwal, 10th of Dhul Hijjah. Huh? These are miqat with respect to time. These are the linguistic meanings. Logat al-Arabiya meaning. In Sharia, in the istilah, yeah? Okay, that's some examples. Okay, in terms of place and in terms of time. In the Sharia meaning, these are specific locations around Makkah, which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself denoted or pointed out based on wahi, based on revelation from our Creator subhanahu wa ta'ala. So as you can see, it's not a perfect circumference or a perfect radius around Makkah. Each miqat is at different points. You have Ya Lamlam at the bottom. On the right, Qiran al-Manazil, Dhatul for the Iraqis and that area. Dhul Hulayfa from Medina, it's just out of Medina, it's a suburb of Medina actually. And Juhfa from those coming from Egypt and the Western Hemisphere. And each is different. The distance from the Kaaba or from Makkah to each of these miqats are different. This is a different table of that same information. So as you can see, 435 kilometers, 180 kilometers, 92 kilometers, 75 kilometers, 100 kilometers. And these are the miqat of the areas you will stop at or you will fly over, whatever, and enter the state of Ihram. So coming from Medina, Dhu'l. Coming from Syria, Egypt, Morocco, Juhfa. Coming from Yemen, the south, Yalamlam. Coming from Najd or Taif, which is from Riyadh, Dammam, India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Karnal Manazil, Asir al-Kabir. If it is from Iraq, Datuluk. Okay, so these are the various points or miqat where you will enter the state of Ihram. Mark my words, enter the state of Ihram. I did not say you will wear your Ihram clothes. Because a person can wear his two garments of white cloth, whatever, Rida and the Izar, in his house in Riyadh or in the airport in Riyadh, and he flies. Is he in Ihram? Who can answer me? Yes or no? He wore his Ihram garments in his house in Riyadh and he took off. Is he in Ihram? Can he go straight to Makkah now and start his rituals? Jazakumullah khair. No. He has just worn the clothes of Ihram. He has not entered Ihram as yet, which he has to do at the miqat. Wadah? Clear? Barakallah. That is miqat. What is Ihram? It is the intention, the Niyyah, to enter the state of Hajj. And this is the specific intention you will have at the miqat. So if you're driving, if you're going by bus or something, you can go to Karnal Manazil, for example, or Lamlam, or Dhu'l, if you're coming from Medina, and go to the miqat if you at the point, and you enter the state of Ihram. You can also get ready there if you wish. There are hamamat, there are showers and bathrooms. You can bathe, you can do ghusl, apply perfume, and then put on your ihram clothes. You can do all of these in these areas. All of these miqat have places for the hujjaj to get ready, so as to speak. Someone asked me yesterday a question about praying 2 rakat nafil after wearing ihram. See, there is no 2 rakat nafil for ihram. After you enter the state of ihram or after you wear the clothes of ihram, there is nothing that you have to pray 2 rakat. There is no evidence for this in the sunnah. If you go to the miqat, and you make your ghusl and wudu and everything, if you wish to pray the 2 rakat of wudu, you can pray. Innamal amalu bin niyyah. Your intention is to pray 2 rakat of wudu. That's permissible, no problem. But there is nothing like 2 rakat of ihram. There is nothing like this. You can wear your ihram and leave for Makkah, no problem, inshallah. Wadah, clear? Because the 2 rakat of wudu is proven from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's proven sunnah. That you can do if you wish. But see how important the niyyah is. Visibly, from outwardly, it's the same 2 rakat. If somebody sees you, you're praying 2 rakat. Now, he has no idea what 2 rakat you're praying. It's all in the heart, the niyyah. So it's all a small niyyah in the heart. Am I praying 2 rakat for the wudu, or I'm praying 2 rakat for ihram? One is sunnah, one is bid'ah. Wadah? Clear? Type. So ihram, when you enter the state of ihram, there are certain normally halal things which become haram now. So normally things which are usually halal for you, once you enter the state of ihram, even if you've not worn your clothes as yet, the intention is done at miqat, these become haram for you now.
Rahman?
Please keep your microphones on mute. Right. So what are the mustahab acts? Again, these are mustahab, not obligatory. If you do it, you're rewarded. If you don't do it, you're not punished. So what can you do when you enter the state of ihram, right? Ghusl, we talked about this earlier as well, as per the Sharia. You can apply perfume on your head and beard. Aisha radiallahu anha, al-Mu'mineen, our mother, she applied perfume on the beard and the head of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam on his Hajj before he put on his garments. Once you put in your garments of ihram, you cannot. Clear? But before that, you can apply on your body or on the beard also. It's fine, inshallah. And Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used to love. He said, Allah has put the love of two things in my heart. The women and perfume. Clipping of fingernails and toenails. It's better to clip them, not necessarily. But it's good because, you're going to be in a haram and you can't do this after that. So it's better to be neat and clean and do these things of the fatra or the 10 things of the fitra, yeah. Similarly, likewise, trimming the mustache, not the beard, the mustache. Getting rid of your pubic hair, underarm hair, all these are things which we do normally as well, alhamdulillah. The period of the duration is what? 40 days. The hadith of Rasulullah says that you need to get rid of your pubic and hair and underarm hair within 40 days, 40 or less than that. You don't keep it beyond that. That's the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So what do we wear as clothes of ihram? For the men, as we know, it's two sheets, usually white, not necessarily. Unstitched. We say unstitched in terms of ihram, towels and sheets, right? One wrapped on the bottom, this is the izar, and the second is the upper part of the body, rida. We say unstitched, what does it mean? But you will say, you tell me, Ustaz, when I examined this ihram which I bought, made in China, whatever, yeah, I saw some small lines of thread running across it, stitchings, but you're saying unstitched. So can I wear this or no? Yes or no, brothers and sisters? The hadith says unstitched. But if you examine this white piece of cloth, there is some stitching on it. There is some thread running across it. Sometimes some design also. Huh? So, can I wear this or no? Yes, I can wear this. Why? What does it mean, unstitched? When we say unstitched, yeah, what it means, the scholars say, it should not come around your body as a stitched piece of garment, like your shirt or your t-shirt or the socks, for example. These are stitched to wrap around the body, the contours of your body, the shape of your body. This is what we mean by stitched. So we need to wear unstitched garment. So this is like two towels or two sheets of white. Of late, I have seen some brothers. Their izar, the bottom part. Usually, what do? We tie it around. It's open. We put it around our bottom and we wrap it around it. We put a knot or something and wrap it around it. But recently, I've seen a new trend where they wear something which has an elastic running around the waist. So they just pull it up, like a pajama or something, or like a lungi or something. Now this becomes stitched because there are certain people in the world who wear this as a normal dress. Like in Sri Lanka, in southern parts of India, they wear this. This now becomes stitched. This is not allowed. It has to be open-ended. The izar and the rida. Wada? Barakallahu fikum. Type. Okay. Can we use clips to plug the ihram? Yes, you may use clips to plug the ihram, especially for children. Sometimes, because it comes out. This is not stitching it, right? It's not going to be stitched or anything. So you can use certain pins, especially for children. For adults, I would avoid this still, just to be safe. Adults, I'm sure, don't need this. But for children, yeah, because when they run around and they can't take care of it, it may open up. But for adults, it's best to avoid. Wallahu alam. Likewise, men will wear sandals, normal flip-flops, normal sandals, not shoes, not something which again cover their ankles and go above the ankles. This is not permissible. No socks. And like we said, we do ittiba. When you wear the ihram clothes, you uncover the right part of your, uncover the right shoulder in tawaf. For the sisters, and this is a blessing for the sisters, that they don't have to wear any of this. Alhamdulillah. You see, especially for the people who have, what do you call them today? Feminists, yeah, feminists, and I want to be like you, I want to be like the men, and what else? What else have you? You see, each one is different. And the sisters there, some sisters will say, why does Islam treat us below men? No. Look at this. Where is it below men? It is above men. You want to be like men? Okay, can you also wear two pieces of white cloth? How ugly and how nonsensical that would look, I'm sorry for the word, but ajib. So, see, brothers and sisters, Islam is from our Creator, the one who created us, the men and the women. He knows what is best for us. Khalas, leave it to Him. Samyana wa atana. We hear and we obey. So, sisters don't have to wear any of this. They wear their normal clothes, which they would wear as a Sharia attire when they go out of their house. When I say normal clothes, I don't mean jeans and t-shirts. No, a'udhu billah. A sister is not supposed to wear this when she goes out. She has the curse of Allah and the Messenger upon her when she goes out like this. And hijab, for the sisters who don't know, hijab is not a piece of cloth on your head. Hijab is not a piece of a handkerchief or a piece of cloth on your head. No. With some hair exposed in the front. No. Hijab is a barrier which you put between yourself and the non-mahram man. So the sisters are blessed in this. They're superior than this, than the men in this. So why aren't they fighting about this? Why doesn't this topic come up in the discussions of feminism and equalism and whatever? Huh? Ajib, well, sometimes it's funny actually. Anyway, let's get back to the topic. So for a sister, what does she do? She wears her normal clothes in ihram, the clothes of ihram, okay, except for gloves and the niqab, which means the niqab is part of a normal Sharia attire. She has to cover the face. You want dalil? Let me know offline. I will send it on the group. Face cover is wajib, is obligatory for a sister in Islam. The dalil are overwhelming. Yes, there is a group of scholars who say it is not allowed. This is there, but even those group of scholars, they say if the sister fears fitna or fears non-mahram men around her, she should cover her face. Halas. Today, when you go out, is there any place where you can go without non-mahram men? Metro, bus, work, college, school, they're all over the place. So anyway, again, that's not the point. I don't want to deviate. Sorry, I'm sorry. But without the gloves and the niqab. So what does she do? Can she expose her face and the gloves in front of non-mahram men in Hajj, especially in Hajj where there are so many non-mahram men? What does she do? What is the solution? The hadith of Aisha radiallahu anha, when she went on Hajj with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the last Hajj, she said we were sitting with the other sisters, and whenever in ihram, she was in ihram in Hajj, whenever riders would pass us by, non-mahram men would pass us by, we would drop the top of our head scarf over our faces. So now she's covering her face. This hadith is sahih. She's covering her face along with other sahabiyat when non-mahram went by. But she would not wear a niqab. What is a niqab? Niqab is a kind of a cloth which sisters tie around their back usually. It goes around the face and they tie at the back of their head. Yeah, knot it up kind of. And it gives you a small gap for the eyes to see. This is what we call by niqab. This is not permissible. So she can't tie something to her face. But what she can do, and you get, especially if you go to the shops, especially in the Gulf countries, maybe even in the other countries, in Muslim areas, where they sell, abayas and these kind of stuff. You ask them for the cloth or the head scarf for Hajj and Umrah, they will give you a special one which has like 3 or 4 layers to it. And one of these can be dropped over your face, ideally. So it's covering your face and you can still see through it. The non-mahram men, they cannot make out your face, they can't make out the features, but you can still see through it. It takes some time getting used to, but you can do this. And this is what the sisters do, alhamdulillah. So now they can cover their face in front of non-mahram. As for their hands, which is also part of the aura, because they can't wear gloves. Normally, when a sister goes out, she has to wear gloves. Many sisters, we see them, we have this problem as well. They wear the complete, alhamdulillah, hijab and sharia attire, including face cover, but their hands are exposed. The hands are a part of the beauty of the aura of the woman. It has to be covered with gloves. But in in ihram, she doesn't do that. So what can she do? If non-mahram are there, she can hide her hands within her jilbab, within the cloak, within the abaya, she can put it inside. So now she's hiding her hands. Alhamdulillah. Father? Clear. Thank you. What can you not do in ihram? What can you not do in ihram? There are two things specifically. So once you enter the state of ihram with the niyyah and the intention, you wear the clothes and everything, there are certain things a person, a haji cannot do. All right? Certain halal things he cannot do. There are two things specifically for the males and two things specifically for the sisters. Who knows what are the things specifically for the brothers? What they cannot do, specifically only for them. And there are certain common things for both, certain common restrictions for both. But for the brothers, there's only two things specifically for them. What they cannot do. How about belts with pouches? Yes, you can wear a belt with pouch. It's to hold and put your wallet and your phone. It's okay, inshallah. Can we use belt? I mean, usually white belt we use. Yeah, you can use a belt. It's not your ihram clothes. It's something you wear over the ihram clothes to hold your ihram. This is permissible, inshallah. Don't shave. Shave. Shave beard? What do you mean, beard? Or, well, mushkil. If it's beard, it's a problem because men are not supposed to shave anyway. Inner garments, mustache. Don't shave the mustache. Okay, you're talking about not plucking the hair. It's also valid for the sisters. I said specifically for the brothers. There are two things specifically for the brothers. Even the sisters cannot pull their hair. Generally, mustache is part of hair. Same category. But specifically for brothers, what can they not do? No, this is again common for both. Killing of animals is common for both. Right. Okay, let me tell you. Jazakumullah khairan. For the men, specifically wearing regular clothes. Because sisters wear regular clothes, right? That's not allowed for men. And covering of the head is not allowed for men. Sisters cover their head with their headscarf and the jilbab and the abaya and everything. They cover. So the brothers specifically not covering the head and not wearing regular clothes. These are the ihram restrictions. So you can't wear a cap, a turban. You can't hold an umbrella over you if it's too hot. This is okay. But you can't wear a cap. You can't wear a turban, for example. You can hide under a tree. This is okay, inshallah. If it's too hot or it's raining, whatever. This is permissible. Sometimes it happens that you're sleeping in ihram, in Mina. You're tired. You want to sleep, or in the night also, whatever. And sometimes it's too cold in the camp, in the tent. The ACs are going at full blast. And unintentionally, you may cover your head with your blanket. For the brothers, I'm talking about the brothers. Sisters, it's permissible for them. They can cover their heads anyway. For the brothers, they may unintentionally cover their head with their blankets. It was too cold. They didn't realize it. What do we do? Is there a dhamma on them? No, because they're unintentional. But there could be somebody next to them who's also a haji, who's in ihram, who sees this. He's awake. So he should remove it. He should not just leave it on and say, okay, that's his problem. I will not interfere. Why should I interfere? No, he should uncover the head. Because this brother, he's asleep. He has no idea what he's doing. And because it was too cold for him, he kind of just pulled up the blanket over his head. Right? For the sisters, again, two specific things. Here, wearing gloves and wearing niqab. Specifically for the sisters, is not allowed in ihram. We talked about this. Wearing gloves and wearing ihram. The others are all common for both. The cutting, plucking of the hair, clipping of the forenails. And in the right column, you can see something called adha written there, or adha. We'll talk about that. So if you do any of these restrictions, if you cover your head, or wear regular clothes, or wear gloves, wear a niqab, you have to give what is called an adha as a fidya. We'll talk about this. It's coming, inshallah. Continuing the ihram restrictions, some more restrictions are there. You cannot solemnize a marriage. You cannot get married to somebody. You can't propose marriage. You can't get engaged. Wada? Clear? The male and the female. You can't hunt animals. The male and the female. In fact, in the haram area, even if you're not in ihram, it's still restricted to hunt certain types, most type of animals. Cutting of trees, plants is not allowed in ihram. Sexual activity, because your wife could be there in an adjacent camp, for example, this is not permissible in ihram. Sexual intercourse, okay, the difference is, what I mean there is, when I say sexual activity, I mean, for example, the secret habit. This haram in and of itself. In ihram, even so. Sexual intercourse, if your wife is there, though she's halal for you, you are halal for her. Yeah, but in ihram, no. Type. Again, in the right column, you will see adha, and you will see something called equal as sin and major. We'll talk about this inshallah. So what is the types of fidya? What do you do if you do these restrictions? What is adha, first of all? Okay, it's from ailment. It means ailment. And there is a story to this. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he was in excuse me, Hajj, a Sahabi came to him, radiallahu anh, and this Sahabi, he had long hair. He wore his hair long. And his hair were literally dripping lice. Lice, you know, lice, L-I-C-E, the small, what do you call them? Lice. They get into your hair and they multiply and they irritate you a lot and they can transmit from one person to another person. Yeah, lice, L-I-C-E. So they were literally dripping. He had a lot of lice in his head. And he said, Rasulullah, I have a problem. So Rasulullah said, Subhanallah, I didn't know you have such a big issue with your lice. You know, it's a major issue. I didn't know you had such a big problem. And this Sahabi was in ihram. All of them were in ihram. So Rasulullah said, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, shave your hair and give the fidya. Shave your hair and give the fidya. So he was in ihram, but to take care of his lice, he was allowed as an exception to do this. So that's the context of revelation of this ayat of Surah Baqarah 196. Mina, which is, and whosoever of you is ill or has an adha in his scalp, he must give a fidya by either making siyam or sadaqah or nusuk. What is nusuk? Sacrifice. So siyam or sadaqah or nusuk. So that's the priority. So if you have adha, if you do these restrictions of ihram, you fast 3 days. See, again, beautiful, based on the earlier workshop we had in Sunnah. The ayat just says siyam, fasting. Ustad, how many days to fast? 1, 2, the whole year, 10 months, 6 months, 3 months, 1 week. You have to go to where? The Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When he said 3 days. So fasting is 3 days. If you can't do that, you can then feed 6 poor Muslims in Makkah. Poor Muslims in Makkah. And each of them half a sa. Or if you can't do that as well, you sacrifice in Makkah a sheep and the usual 1/7 of a cow camel and distribute the poor to distribute the meat to the poor in Makkah. So this is what you do if you do those restrictions, like wearing a cap, gloves, niqab for the sisters, cutting your hair, pulling your nail, intentionally. Sometimes unintentionally hair may fall off. This is fine. Like you're having a shower, you can bathe in ihram. If it's too hot, you're sweating, you can remove your ihram, go into the bath, have a shower and come out. And when you have a shower, sometimes the hair will fall down. This is okay. But intentionally taking a nail cutter and cutting your nails or pulling your hair, this is not permissible. If you do this, you have to do adha. Wada? The major fidya for sexual intercourse and sexual activity is that you have committed a sin and you need to repent, tawbah, first of all. So if a person approaches his spouse in ihram, this is a sin. So he needs to seek repentance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This Hajj is invalidated. Allahu Akbar. So it's a very serious issue. So brothers and sisters who are going with their spouses, you need to control yourself, especially if you're young, because your Hajj can be invalidated. You still have to sacrifice, do a hadi. Your Hajj is invalidated, but you need to continue with your rites. You can't leave them. So let's say, for example, Arafah, the 9th of Hijjah, starting of Hajj. A person approached his spouse. They had intercourse. The Hajj is gone for both of them. But they need to complete all the rest of the rites. They can't just go back to their town or their country. No. They need to complete the rest of the rites and repeat the Hajj. Mushkila, very difficult kafara. You see the point? Barakallahu fikum. Tayyib. Father, an important point to note in terms of this fidya, and even the major one, is that there is no fidya applicable if the person was ignorant of the Islamic ruling. But again, like we said, brothers and sisters, in terms of pillars of Islam, there is no excuse really. In this day and age, when you have internet, you have information explosion, there is no excuse for a person to be ignorant, especially when he's going for Hajj himself or herself. You need to prepare. You said we talked about yesterday preparation. You have to get the knowledge. But anyway, in terms of the Sharia, if you're ignorant, there is no fidya. Or you forgot, unintentionally done, there is no fidya. Or under compulsion, yeah, maybe somebody compels you with threat of life, as is happening with some Muslims around the world today. Right? All of these areas, there is no fidya. Clear? Type. Then we have the talbiyah. So you're there at the ihram, you entered, the miqat, you entered the state of ihram, you wore your clothes, and if you wish, you pray 2 rakat of wudu, made ghusl and everything, you wore your ihram clothes. And the sisters wear their normal clothes, but they just drop their headscarf over their faces, right? And now you start your talbiyah. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would get onto his mount, his camel, and start the talbiyah. What is talbiyah? It starts just after ihram. So you're starting talbiyah where? In Makkah? Where are you starting talbiyah? Miqat, at the miqat, right? You'll start at the miqat, just after entering ihram. So if you're flying over miqat, as soon as the pilot announces you're flying over miqat, you start your talbiyah. Wada? Clear? You will say Labbaik Allahumma Hajjan, and then you will continue the whole talbiyah as we all know. Yeah? Labbaik Allahumma Labbaik, Labbaik la sharika laka Labbaik, innal hamda wan ni'mata laka wal mulk la sharika lak. Beautiful expression of Tawheed. Here I am, O Allah. Not O Khalandar Baba or Fala Multan Baba or Fala Pir. No, A'udhu Billah. Here I am, O Allah. There is no associate with you. Khalas, la sharika lak. Innal hamda, verily all praise is due to you. And all graces are from you, are from yours. Wa ni'mata. Laka wal mulk, the dominion belongs to you. Al-Alameen, when we say in Surah Fatiha, Rabbul Alameen, what do we mean, Alameen? Alameen is everything which exists except Allah. Everything. 7 heavens, the earth, the galaxies, the universes, Milky Ways, what have you, insects, birds, plants, jinn, angels, humans, everything, planets, everything which exists except Allah is Alameen. Laka wal mulk, la sharika lak. Again, in the end, we have la sharika lak. We are reiterating again, though we said it in the beginning, we are again repeating it. Oh Allah, there is nothing sharik, there is nothing like you. Laysa kamithlihi shay. Allahu Akbar. So you see again the importance of Tawheed, brothers and sisters, without which Hajj is not acceptable. And the brothers should raise their voice. The sisters say it silently, especially when they're traveling in a bus or something and other passengers can hear. They say it to themselves, very, very low, very silent. But the brothers are supposed to raise their voice, but not in unison again, not in a group. Each one does it himself. And you keep reciting this until you stone Jamaratul Aqaba, the big Jamarat, on the 10th of Zulhijjah. Wada? This is if you're doing Qiran and Ifrad. If you're doing Tamattu, who can answer me? If you're doing Tamattu, you entered Ihram for what? You're doing Tamattu. You entered Ihram now in Miqat for what? Which act of worship? Who can answer me? Tamattu. We talked about, yes, Jazakallah khair. Yes, Jazakallah khair. Jazakallah. Alhamdulillah. So you're all awake. Alhamdulillah. I know it's a long session, but alhamdulillah. Yes, Umrah. So you entered in Tamattu, we said Umrah is done first. So in Tamattu, if you're doing Tamattu as a Haji, you will make Talbiyah, Labbaik Allahumma Labbaik, Labbaik, and so on and so forth, until you start your Umrah. Until you start your Tawaf. Until you start your Tawaf, now you will stop your Talbiyah. Wadah? And again start your talbiyah when you enter ihram on 8th Hijjah. Tamattu. But the people doing Qiran and Ifrad, you will continue talbiyah till you stone the Jamarat al-Aqaba, the big Jamarat, the furthest, the closest to Makkah, the furthest from Mina, but the closest to Makkah on the 10th. Wadah? Right. So, I have a few slides on Umrah, not in great detail, but if the sister who asked me earlier about Umrah, if she can let me know offline, I will send her the details offline because we don't have time really. I'm sorry, I apologize. In fact, I need to do a separate session, inshallah. Actually, I don't think I can finish this today because I want to do it in detail. So we'll have a new session on Yom Itnain, which is like Tuesday. Hang on, I'm just putting this on the chat box. 17 p.m. KSA time. Oops, sorry. Okay, we'll have a third session. We'll also do Q&A then. 7:15 p.m. KSA time. Day after tomorrow. Not tomorrow, day after tomorrow. As early as point. What is point? I didn't get your question, brother. Right. So I have a few slides though, because people who are doing Tamattu, they will do Umrah first. Okay. Umrah basically is simple and easy. It's very easy actually. We compare it to Hajj. Yeah. So you have a Tawaf, you have the Sa'i, and you have the cutting or shaving of hair. But yeah, Ustad, why didn't you write shaving here? Why didn't I write shaving there? I just put cutting there. Because for a Haji doing Tamattu, he needs to then, depending on whenever he's doing it, let's say he's doing Tamattu on 5th Hijjah, for example, Umrah on 5th Hijjah. On 8th, he has to enter Ihram again for Hajj. And after Hajj, again, he needs to cut and shave his hair. So if he shaves his hair after Umrah, there's not enough days, there's not enough time for the hair to grow back, so he can now shave it after or cut it after Hajj. So for the Hujjaj doing Tamattu, we say it's better you cut your hair now after Umrah. Don't shave, cut your hair. Because you need some hair on your head to shave them eventually after Hajj. Wada? Clear? Type. So Umrah of Tamattu. Umrah of Tamattu. Tawaf, Sa'i, and cutting. Right? Type. So for those who have not done Umrah before, we have the Kaaba. We have a black stone here, which is marked there, the Hajar Aswad. This is where you will start your Umrah. You start your Tawaf. You start your Tawaf. All right? Which is like 7 rounds or circuits around the Kaaba in a counterclockwise direction. Counterclockwise. And when you start, ideally you need to kiss the Hajar Aswad, but now it's all closed because of the COVID. They have a barrier around it. So you will raise your hand, point towards it, and you will say, Bismillah, Allahu Akbar. What will you say? Bismillah, Allahu Akbar. You will not kiss your hand. You will just point with your finger and say, Bismillah, Allahu Akbar. And you start your Tawaf. 7 rounds around the Kaaba. At each round, when you come to the black stone, you will say Allahu Akbar and point and say Allahu Akbar. Not Bismillah anymore. Bismillah is only in the first round. Every subsequent round, you will only say Allahu Akbar. Wada? There is no specific dua you need to recite in Tawaf. You can recite any dua. You can recite the Quran. You can say Takbir, Tahleel, Tahmeed, Tasbih. You can do dhikr of Allah. Anything you wish. Any dua. The sunnah of Rasulullah was between the Yamini corner here, because this is towards the direction of Yemen, between the Yamini corner and Hijr Aswad here, the left part of the slide. In this part, when he was walking, he would say, Rabbana atina fid dunya hasana wa fil akhirati hasana wa qina adhaban nar. If you say it, alhamdulillah. If you don't say it, also alhamdulillah. Why? Some people say, okay, first round, this dua. Second round, this dua. Third round, this dua. There is no basis for this from the Sunnah. Some people, they follow the leader. The leader has a book open and he says, Rabbana atina. Behind them, the whole group of 20 people, Rabbana, in one voice, Rabbana atina. All this is wrong. Maybe they don't even know the meaning of what they're saying. The point is, this is an act of worship. And dua, you're asking Allah for your personal needs. So make it count. Father? Clear? The first 3 rounds you will do ramal for the brothers, quick walking, and all the 7 rounds the brother will expose the right shoulder. He will expose the right shoulder. Clear? This tawaf in brief. Once you finish tawaf, the last 7th round, you will go to Maqam Ibrahim, which is like somewhere here. This is the gate, this is the door, somewhere this side, south of the bottom of the slide. Maqam Ibrahim is there. You will pray behind Maqam Ibrahim 2 rakat. The sunnah is in first rakat, you will pray Surat Kafirun after Fatiha. Second rakat, Fatiha and Ikhlas. 2 rakat nafil. Does it have to be exactly behind Maqam Ibrahim? It's preferable, but if you can't find place, you do not push and shove and kick people around. No, you pray wherever possible. Wada, clear? And then you will start your sa'i. You will start your sa'i. Sa'i is basically again what you do between 2 mountains, or what is left of those 2 mountains, Safa and Marwa. And basically you're repeating the sunnah of Hajira alayhi salam. The sunnah of Hajira alayhi salam. So you start at Safa, okay, and you will climb up the mountain, face the Kaaba, raise your hands, make dua, recite the ayat of Surah Baqarah, in the Safa to Marwa, and so on. And then you will proceed towards Marwa. Safa to Marwa is 1 round, Marwa to Safa is 2nd round. 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. So you will end up at Marwa. As you are walking between these two, there are 2 green markers shown here in the diagram. There are 2 green markers. Between these two, the brothers will run, not the sisters. The brothers will run. And during the sa'i, the brothers will not expose their right shoulder. So once the tawaf is finished, the brothers need to cover up their shoulders. They don't expose. Because they're praying 2 rakat, they can't keep the shoulders exposed. And sa'i, again, the shoulders are not exposed. Only for tawaf. This sa'i, you will finish at Marwa. Again, as you go up Marwa and point, you face the Qibla, you raise your hands and you can recite any dua which you wish. And even during Safa and Marwa, walking between them, any dua which you wish. And tahara is not a condition for sa'i. If your wudu breaks, you can continue. You can continue. Clear? Wada? But for tawaf, yes, it is. And once you finish Marwa, khalas, you go and cut your hair. Your umrah is finished. Easy and simple. One of the I think the sister asked me earlier about some supplications which can be said during umrah. Like we said, there are no specific supplication, but this link has what you see on the top of Safa, the Surah Baqarah ayat, Rabbana atina fid dunya, the Talbiyah. So these small things which we already talked about, it's there in this link. You can go to the link and you can look at that, inshallah. How much time do we have? Okay. Brothers and sisters, I don't think I will do Q&A today, because we'll do it on Yom Al-Ithnain, day after tomorrow, 7:15 p.m. Saudi time. That's 5:15 p.m. UK time, 9:15 Pakistan, and 9:45 India. And UAE, I think 8:15. Clear? So we'll do that on after tomorrow. We'll also have Q&A, inshallah. I apologize, but it's taking longer than I expected. Time. So we still have to we still start the Hajj rituals. Anyway, so now before 8th of Zilhijjah, 8th of Zilhijjah is like an important day. All right. Before this, the Hujjaj doing Ifrad and Qiran, they will complete these acts as mentioned in the slide. Tawaf al-Qudum, this is the welcoming tawaf, and then the sa'i for Hajj. They can delay the sa'i for Hajj. Let's say it's too crowded or whatever happens. You don't have the time, the bus came, whatever. Yeah. If it's not possible, you can delay the sa'i for Hajj after 8th also, no problem, inshallah. But it's better to do the tawaf al-Qudum. Okay. It's a sunnah act, but even if that is omitted, it's still okay. But it's better to do that, inshallah. You want to do the sunnah. So for Qiran and Ifrad, if you're doing those two, you will do Tawaf Qudum and Sa'i for Hajj. If you're doing Tamattu, you will finish your Umrah, as we talked about, before the noon, before Dhuhr of 8th of the Hijjah. You will finish your Umrah and not shaving. Please, I'm sorry, that should not have been shaving there. cutting your hair, because you need some hair, like we said, to again remove it after Hajj. Clear? Type. And then the people doing Qiran and Ifrad over here, they will remain in their ihram. Okay, they will remain in their ihram. They cannot remove their ihram. All right. The ones doing Tamattu, like we said, once they cut their hair, they come out of their ihram. Even if it is for a few hours, you come out, you wear your normal clothes, yeah, and you can cut your hair, nails, whatever, no problem, inshallah. But again, as you can see here on the right, you will assume your ihram again for Hajj on 8th Hijjah. The people doing Tamattu. Is this clear so far? Please let me know in the chat box. Is it okay, inshallah? Simple and easy? Because now after 8th Hijjah, everyone does the same rituals. Can you repeat the tomorrow class? Not tomorrow, sister, day after tomorrow. Day after tomorrow, I mentioned it on the chat box. Hang on. I don't know, is everyone able to see my messages? I'm not sure. Not Tuesday, sorry. Sorry. It's not Tuesday, it's Monday. Sorry, Jazakillah khair. Yes, I'll wind up on Yom Al-Ithnain, inshallah. Inshallah. Okay, so it's not tomorrow, the class is day after tomorrow, 7:15 p.m. Saudi time, that's 5:15 UK, 7:45 Pakistan, sorry, 9:15 Pakistan, 9:45 India. Right? Okay. Is this clear? Yes or no? Alhamdulillah, yes, you all said yes. Right, Jazakumullah khair. So, after this now, everybody does the same. Qiran, Ifrad, Tamattu. Except for the sacrifice in the end. The sacrifice is only for Tamattu and Qiran, not for Ifrad. But otherwise, the rituals are all the same. Inshallah. Clear? Wada? So 8th Hijjah. 8th Hijjah has come. Alhamdulillah. So wherever you are as a Haji on 8th Hijjah, whichever Hajj you are doing, you have to come to Mina before Dhu'l. You have to come to Mina before Dhu'l. Okay, let's not say you have to. It's mustahab, because you could skip Mina completely and on 8th and go only to Arafah on 9th. Your Hajj is still acceptable, inshallah. But the sunnah is to be in Mina before Dhu'l on 8th Hijjah. This is the site of Mina. It's a beautiful site of white tents. This is called Yomatarviya. It's called Yomatarviya. Tarviya means a day of fetching water and quenching your thirst. Because in those days, in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Sahaba, and Tabain, there was not much, or rather hardly any water in Mina. There was no water in Mina. Today, alhamdulillah, you have all kinds of water there. But in those days, there was no water. So they would gather water and store up water for their days and stay in Mina. So it's on that day, on 8th Hijjah. So it's called Yomatarviya. Yomatarviya. What will you do? You will come to Mina, you will go to your camp, designated camps which are given by the government, in your groups. You will come before Dhu'l, like we said, and you will be in ihram. All the three types of Hajj, Qiran, Ifrad, and Tamattu, you will be in ihram by this point. You will be in a state of ihram with your ihram clothes. What will you do in Mina? You will pray Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, and Isha. So 4 prayers. How will you pray them? Each at its time, but shortened. So Dhuhr will become 2 rakat, not 4. Asr will become 2 rakat, not 4. Maghrib will remain 3 rakat. Isha will become 2 rakat, not 4. But at its time. Hey, Ustad, why do we shorten? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam shortened. And that is sufficient for us. Because we have people, especially, I'm sorry to say this, but I have to, who come from the subcontinent. And they come to Mina and they pray the full 4 rakat, Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, Maghrib is 3, and Isha 4 rakat. And they will not listen to you no matter what you say. Subhanallah. This taqleed, blind following. But the sunnah of Rasulullah is to shorten. So we shorten, alhamdulillah. Easy and simple. Clear? So you will try to be there before noon. You will pray Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib and Isha. Time limits for Tamattu Ihram on 8th. Before noon, brother. Before noon, you will enter Ihram. Okay, we said this. But on 8th, after completing Umrah, do we need to change? No. Hang on. We're still on 8th. So we now with Ihram. Okay. I get a question. So on 8th, let's say 8th morning, you went for Umrah. So the person is doing Tamattu, they went for Umrah on 8th morning. They finished Umrah. So you have to exit Umrah. Sorry, Ihram. You have to, this is Tamattu. You have to exit Ihram and again enter Ihram for Hajj. So try to do this as quickly as possible, even if it means just changing your clothes and back again and the changing of the intention. This is important. You have to exit the Ihram for Umrah and again enter the Ihram for Hajj, even if it happens on the 8th morning. Wada? Clear? Type. Clear? Alhamdulillah. And you will spend that night in Mina. After Isha, you will stay there. Taib Ustad, what do I do? Do I hang around with the guys and talk about politics and cricket and football and I don't know, Joe Biden and what have you? No. You will spend your time in dhikr of Allah, recitation of the Quran, memorize the Quran, memorize hadith, sit with the halakas, sit with the scholars, learn from them. This is what a Haji should do. Forget dunya. Brothers and sisters, please, especially the ones going for Hajj, please forget dunya for these 4 or 5 days. 3-5 days approximately, 5-6 days. Forget dunya completely. Maintain your connection between yourself and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's it. That is it. Don't worry. Nothing will happen to your family. Nothing will happen to your children. Everybody will be safe and fine, inshallah. Don't worry. Don't every 2 seconds take out your phone, look at social media, who sent what to me. Yani, the best thing, like I said, to bring a Nokia small phone with you. But you may need an app, so you need to have a smartphone with the new restrictions. But don't let social media rule your life, at least for these 6-7 days. Delete your accounts, hibernate your accounts, tell everybody, don't disturb me for the next 7 days, I'm going to be busy. Don't tell them you're going for Hajj, tell them I'm going to be busy, that's a class. Or stop receiving calls, put them on mute, whatever. Do whatever it takes to maintain your connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is very, very, very crucial if you want the ajr from Hajj. Wada? So this is 8th Dhul Hijjah. So you spend the night and the next early morning, which is what? 9th of Dhul Hijjah. This is called Yom Al-Arafa. Yom Al-Arafa. You will get up, inshallah, pray Qiyam al-Layl, inshallah, pray Fajr in Mina. And immediately after Fajr, you will depart. Where? Arafah. You remember the graph, the diagram I showed you? Arafah is quite a distance from Mina. So you may have to take a transport, you may have to take a train, you may have to whatever. Yeah, the group will arrange for you, inshallah. You will stay in Arafah from sunrise to sunset. Remember the hadith of Rasulullah, Al-Hajju Arafah. Al-Hajju Arafah. Al-Hajj is Arafah. And the ARKAAN, it's a rukun. Staying in Arafah is a rukun. And the WAJIBAAT is staying until sunset. So since you left early, you can leave a bit later, no problem. But usually the groups, okay, nowadays, this year, there's not much rush. But usually when you have like 3+ million Muslims, they leave early in the morning to try to beat the rush. But nowadays, I don't know. I honestly don't know when they will leave because I have no idea this year when they will leave. But inshallah, they should leave and be there before Dhuhr in Arafah. And don't worry, you will manage because there's hardly any rush. Because when there's rush, the traffic is jammed. It's bumper to bumper. It's a mess. Anyway, alhamdulillah. So you will spend the day in Arafah. The Prophet ﷺ, he entered Arafah after noon. And there will be a khutbah in the masjid, in Namira. You don't have to go to the masjid specifically. Maybe this year you will go because the crowd is less. But again, when you have 3 million Muslims, they can't get into the masjid. It will cause problems for the Hujjaj. So wherever you are, the scholars of your group, will arrange a khutbah for you, or they will transmit the khutbah from the masjid and translate it for you if you can't understand Arabic language. So all these facilities are there, alhamdulillah. So what do I do in Arafah, ya Ustad? What do I do? Remember you prayed Fajr where? 9th Hijjah. You prayed in Mina. Yes or no? Yes. Right. Next salah is what? Dhuhr. So what will you do? You will now pray Dhuhr and Asr shortened to 2 rakat, 2 plus 2, and joined Jama wa Qasr. What did you do yesterday in Mina? Yesterday in Mina I prayed at their time, not Jama. Dhuhr at Dhuhr time, Asr at Asr time, Maghrib time, Isha time. But I shortened. Today in Arafah, what do? I do Jama and Qasr. I join and I shorten. Why, ya Ustad? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did this. And there is a reason, there is a wisdom to this, as you will see, inshallah. So you'll have one adhan and 2 iqamat. And then the khutbah. One adhan and 2 iqamat. Each iqamah for Dhuhr and Asr. Now I have the whole day to me. MashaAllah, fantastic, great stuff. Amazing. So I finished my salah in like 20 minutes or half an hour with the khutbah. And I have the whole day for myself. Fantastic. What do I do? Can I sleep and snore and laze around, look around Arafah, go visiting here and there? Go play around with people and talk around. What did Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Why did Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam shorten and do Jama? Because for the rest of the time, he spent the entire time in supplication, making dua, standing and raising his hands towards the heavens. We have the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala descends to the lowest heaven. How? As His Majesty, as suits His Majesty the best, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Descends to the lowest heaven on the day of Arafah. This is the only day in the whole year, the only day, brothers and sisters, in the whole year that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes down to the lowest heaven, the 7th heaven. But every night, the last third of the night, He descends. But in the day, this is the only day. So do not waste it. He descends and He says to the angels, who is asking so I can give? And look at my Hujjaj, they're doing this for me, they're making dua for me proudly. So this is the time you don't want to miss. Every second, spend it in dua, spend it in dhikr, praising Allah, remembering Allah. This is why the prayers are joined. Wada, ensure you're within the boundaries of Arafah, very important. Because otherwise you will miss what? Who can tell me in the chat box? If you are outside the boundary of Arafah, what are you missing? But you're standing there, you're making dua, you're praying Dhuhr Asr. Yes, Jazakallah khair. You're missing a rukun. Because standing in Arafah is a pillar. Jazakumullah khairan. It's a pillar. So you're missing a pillar. Mushkila. Your Hajj is invalid. You complete the rites and you have to repeat the Hajj. So make sure you're within the boundary. But don't worry, usually when you go to the group and the group leaders will have their camps and all the camps are inshallah within the boundaries. But this is an important point to note anyway. That's a view of Masjid Namira and the plains of Arafah. So the most important act, brothers and sisters, in the day of Arafah is to make dua. This is the single most important act you can do that day. This is why the people who don't do Hajj, by the mercy and blessing of Allah, Allah has prescribed for them what? Not prescribed, and Mustafa for them what? Fasting. So you and I who are not doing Hajj this year, we fast, inshallah, Yom Al-Arafa. So we can try somehow to come close, come close. We can't be exactly like the Hujjaj, but try to come close to them in terms of the reward of this great day. Wada, because Allah descends to the people in Arafah, not to the people in the US or Timbuktu or somewhere else on Yom Al-Arafa, right? Wada, clear. But we have fasting. We discussed this yesterday already, alhamdulillah. After sunset, you wait till sunset. After sunset, what do I usually do? I pray what? Maghrib. Yeah, Ustad, Maghrib, Sheikh. What do I do after Maghrib? Sorry, after sunset, Maghrib. But now, no. You will not pray Maghrib at Arafah. Why, ya Ustad? It's time for Maghrib. And the time for Maghrib is very short. You have to finish. Allah says in the Quran, the best of deeds is to pray at Salah at the earliest times. You see the importance of Sunnah, brothers and sisters? Rasulullah did not do this. He asked us not to do this. You will not pray Maghrib in Arafah. You will leave Arafah and pray Maghrib where? In Muz'dalifah. Ah. You see how beautiful Tawheed is? This is Tawheed. This is Rasulullah is the only one you're allowed to blindly follow. Because this is what it is, this blind following. But blind following whom? The greatest of creation, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Not blind following the four Imams, not blind following my grandfather, not blind following my father or mother or brother or my masjid Imam. No. You're allowed to blind follow only Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. This is what is Ashhadu Muhammad Rasulullah. So after sunset, you depart. So the Haji will depart from Arafah, alhamdulillah, without praying Maghrib. And proceeding where? To Muz'dalifah. You will proceed to an area called Muz'dalifah. Some common mistakes which people usually make in Arafah quickly. Sometimes they stay outside the boundary, which is wrong, is a grave error. And there are big signboards there. If you've gone there before, you will see this huge signboard saying Arafah boundary. You know, so you know exactly where you are standing. Make sure, okay? Type. They leave Arafah before the sunset. Sometimes this is also not allowed. Why? Because now they're missing what? They're missing what, brothers and sisters? They leave before sunset. What are they missing? What are they missing? If a person leaves Arafah before sunset, he's missing what? No? Nobody knows? Sunnah, no. Wajibaat, yes. Jazakallah khair. Jazakallah khair. Wajib, he's missing wajib. He said wajib is to stay from Dhuhr to sunset. Jazakallah khair. So, again, a more common error, or rather popular error, I would say, is people pushing and shoving to get onto Jabal Rahmah. Jabal Rahmah is a mountain of mercy, they call it. It's a mountain in Arafah where Rasulullah stood and he made supplication. They made a tent for him, a small tent called Namira. That's what the masjid is called, Namira. It was made in the same location approximately. So this tent was that he would stay in the tent, he would come out at the mountain, raise his hands and make dua to Allah. So everybody wants to do that. Now, obviously, you can imagine it's a mountain and 3.5 million Muslims cannot get into the mountain. It doesn't make any sense. And subhanAllah, you see the beauty of Rasulullah and the Sunnah and the Hadith. Rasulullah said exactly that in the Hadith. He said, I'm standing here, when he stood at the mountain and raising his hands, making dua, he told the Sahaba, radiallahu anhum, he said, I'm standing here today, but the whole of Arafah is a place of standing. Allahu Akbar. So Rasulullah said this Hadith because he knew in future there will be so many Muslims, and if everybody wants to follow the Sunnah, khalas, you will kill each other. There will be a stampede. So he said, I'm standing here today, but the whole of Arafah is a place of standing. Allah. So, also facing, some people face the mountain in dua. This is wrong. You face where in dua? Qibla. Whether you're making dua at the graveyard, making dua in Masjid Nabawi, making dua in your house, making dua in Jabal Rahmah, wherever you make dua, you face the Qibla. You face Kaaba. Some people rub their hands on the mountain and rub their bodies for barakah. This is a bid'ah. This is wrong. There is no barakah in the mountain. Absolutely no barakah in the mountain. Wade? Type. So now you finished Arafah. Alhamdulillah, we're doing okay, I think. And let's see how much we can finish today. But no questions, please, today. We'll do it on day after tomorrow. Yom Al-Arafa, Monday, day after tomorrow, 7:15 p.m. Saudi time. All right. So now you finished Arafah. It's sunset. You left. You did not pray Maghrib. You left to where? Muz'dalifah. You're going towards Muz'dalifah. Right? This is the night of the 10th. The next day is the 10th. So this is the night of the 10th, the previous night. You will reach Muz'dalifah and you will pray Maghrib and Isha. Again, shortened and joined. Like in Arafah. You will shorten them. Isha will be 2 rakat, Maghrib will be 3. And you will join them. 1 adhan, 2 iqamat. Scholars say if there is a lot of rush and you cannot reach Muz'dalifah before midnight, because Isha, the time ends at midnight. If you can't reach before midnight, you can pray on the way, inshallah. But inshallah, this year, you will not have a problem. because there's only 60,000. You will make it, inshallah, don't worry. So you will read Muz'dalifah. Again, make sure you're within the boundaries of Muz'dalifah. Make sure you're within the boundaries of Muz'dalifah. You will camp there. You will stay the night there because this is wajib. This is from the wajibat. Staying the night in Muz'dalifah is a wajib. All right, you will finish your prayers. And what will you do? What did Rasulullah do after this? He picked up pebbles, 7 pebbles. Only 7, not 21, not 348, not 1064, only 7. He picked up 7 pebbles for the stoning the next day, the 10th of Dhul Hijjah. He picked them up from Mina. This is sunnah. If you can't do this, you forget, you can still pick them up also in Mina, no problem, inshallah. But the sunnah is to pick it up at Muz'dalifah. And then he would recite Quran, he would pray for a while, and then he slept. Slept, ya Ustad? Yes, he slept. So now, the night of the 10th of Dhul Hijjah, Muz'dalifah, it is sunnah to sleep until Fajr. He slept until Fajr. Why? Because you need your energy for the next day. The next day is a jam-packed day. Lot of things to do on 10th of Dhul Hijjah. You need that energy. So he rested, he relaxed, and he slept, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, until Fajr. So sleeping on Muz'dalifah is sunnah. Kudu anni manasikukum. Take from me your rituals of Hajj. So we follow Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, in his time when he made Hajj, he gave permission to the Muslimat, the women, the elderly, and some people who were sick to leave before midnight. So before midnight, they left, Muz'dalifah. To where? To Mina, towards Jamarat. It's because they were old, they were weak, some were sick, some were women. Because he didn't want them to get caught up with the rush. Because after Fajr, after praying Fajr, everybody will leave. The whole caravan will leave towards Mina. So he didn't want them caught up there. The same sunnah can be followed even today. So if somebody is not well, the elderly people, aged people, they can leave early, inshallah, after before midnight, no problem, inshallah. This is an exception, as per the sunnah. But for the rest, you sleep. You sleep until Fajr. You sleep until Fajr, and you pray Fajr at Muz'dalifah. You will pray Fajr. So the 3 salawat in Muz'dalifah. The Maghrib and Isha, which you joined and shortened, and then Fajr you will pray 2 rakat. And 2 rakat sunnah before that. Wadah? Clear? Barakallahu feekum. So far so good? Alhamdulillah. I think brothers will stop for now, inshallah. So we've reached the 10th of Dhul Hijjah, which is Arafah. Yom Al-Nahar. We'll discuss this on Yom Al-Ithnain, which is Monday, 7:15 p.m. Saudi time. I will post the link again as usual on the chat, on the Telegram group. Let me see quickly if I can finish 1 or 2 questions if you have on the chat box. I apologize, I couldn't finish this today. And we'll do all your questions. I mean, you may have a lot of Q&A questions, especially the ones going for Hajj. We'll do them on Monday, day after tomorrow, Yom Al-Ithnain. If one misses 2 wajibat, how many dam? Okay. If one misses, this is a good question. Sorry, I forgot. I missed this question. Jazakallah khair. So if one misses 2 wajibat, he missed standing at Arafah till sunset. He also missed another wajib, like, I don't know, any other wajib, he missed. He has to give 2 dam now. He forgot to shave and cut his hair, another dam. He forgot something, another dam. He misses all 7 sacrifices. If he misses all the 7 wajibat he missed, he has to give 7 sacrifices. So be careful. It costs money. Yeah. Jazakallah khair. Wallahu alam. Okay. We talked about this. Belts, you can wear belts or your izar in haram. Inner garments should be avoided for the brothers. The brothers cannot wear innerwear. Sisters, of course, you can wear. You can wear normal clothes. Okay, not tomorrow class. The class is on day after tomorrow, Monday, Yom Al-Ithnain, 7:15 p.m. Saudi time. Okay. Alhamdulillah. Belts are stitched. Yeah, belts are stitched, but these are not part of the ihram clothes. It's something you wear, like your glasses. You can also wear a sunglass. You can wear a normal glasses. You can wear a wristwatch. What else? Yeah, so these things are allowed. No problem, inshallah. See, when we say stitched, again, brother Muhammad Khatib, when I say you are not allowed to wear stitched clothes, stitched over your body, like your shirts, your trousers, your jeans, your thobe, your bunions, your innerwear, these are ones which are stitched to the shape of your body. That's what is meant by stitched. All right. So the belt is okay. It's meant to hold up your izar, and not to hold up your izar. More importantly, to keep your valuables, because you can't go with it your wallet, your phone, your tasri, your permission. People will ask you on the way. So you need that, right? How do you carry that? So that's okay, inshallah. Wallahu alam. It's not part of your clothes and attire, so that's okay, inshallah. Apart, okay. Ooh, what is this big question? Okay, there's a big question from my brother Abu Abdurrahman. I will do this after tomorrow, inshallah. Jazakallah khair. We'll stop for now. The balance questions, we'll do them after tomorrow, inshallah. Please join us on Yom Al-Ithnain, 7:15 p.m. Saudi time. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Wa akhir da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.